and 8 conservation hubs across 6 continents to broaden our impact all over the globe. These 8 conservation hubs are Pacific Islands, Southwest, our oceans, of course, Amazonia, African forest, and savanna, and of course Asia and Australia forest as well. But we believe that conservation starts with the connections that we can make between people and wildlife every day, which is why we're so excited to welcome you all here. And I do gotta ask before we get started, who's excited to meet some wildlife?
Yeah!
All right, that is what we love to hear. So, for our first friend, we are going to be stepping away from these 8 conservation hubs and focusing on San Diego Zoo's One Health approach to saving species worldwide. To sum this up, it means that the health of people,
you know who that means.
wildlife, and of course the habitats they all share are, of course, interconnected. And this next little lady kind of does this by showing off how ecosystems can work in harmony when they are left to their own devices. She is an apex predator, an apex predator of the sky, covered head to toe in feathers. It's said that her talons could pierce a car tire or even a human skull.
That's not for her.
Please welcome out the wisest lady I know. This is Einstein, our Eurasian eagle owl.
With Ellie.
Of course, with Ellie. She's pretty spectacular. Both of them are. And I will break down this name for us a little bit. So Eurasian tells us where these beautiful raptors can be found, all throughout parts of Europe and Asia as well. And then eagle owl does not mean that she is an eagle owl hybrid, but does let us know that this is one of the largest species of owl in the world. And as Ellie does bring her around, I'd love to hear some guesses about how much we think Einstein weighs. Shout out what
She'll
we
get
think.
closer. So stay with me.
18,
And I'll go back there when she's
60,
closer.
155.
How much do you think she weighs?
7,000 pounds. Well, I mean, Ellie's really strong, but Einstein weighs a whopping 5 pounds. Well, we gotta think, what do birds have to do? They have to be able to fly long distances in order to find their food. Specifically for lots of raptors, including our Eurasian eagle owl here, they are gonna be hunting for rodents. Rodents being some of the pests that we find around our houses. This is a natural form of pest control supporting our beautiful raptors. We have owls and a variety of other types of raptors found here in our own backyard in San Diego. We don't have anything quite as large as the Eurasian eagle owl, but the greater horned owl is pretty beautiful as well. We can protect our amazing raptor friends by being aware of how we are kind of adapting and utilizing our pesticides when we are trying to kind of affect our pest populations in our own backyards. Utilizing things that don't go up the food chain, because if an owl is to eat a poisoned rat or mouse, it could even kill our raptor here. So we want to make sure that we are aware of what we are doing. But as she does come around, I'd love to point out some of those beautiful adaptations that she has. First thing we might have noticed are going to be those beautiful eyes. So those eyes are humongous and amber in color, but believe it or not, we're seeing the smallest part of Einstein's eye right now.
Hi.
An owl eyeball is kind of shaped like an old school light bulb. So we're seeing the screeny part at the end with those 2 bulbs back within her skull. That doesn't leave much room for critical thinking, kind of nixes the wise old owl kind of fairy tale there, but it does mean that she has amazing eyesight. It's said that if an owl could read, she could read a newspaper on the other side of the football field day or night, which is pretty spectacular. But it also means that her eyes are fixed in place. This is why she has to move her head left and right rather than turning her eyes like humans can, because her eyes are so large. And because of that, she has that ability to turn her head about 270 degrees, not 360, or her head would fall off, but 275, pretty close. So we're very lucky to be able to share that with you all. Another very interesting thing that she has on her head are going to be those 2 little tufts right on the top. Those are called ear tufts, but that's not at all where her ears are located. They're actually used for camouflage, and her ears are located asymmetrically on either side of her skull. No earlobes, just little holes, and that actually allows her to do what's called triangulate sound. She can tell exactly where a sound is coming from and exactly what it is. An owl can actually hear a mouse's heartbeat under about a foot of snow, which is pretty spectacular. And not only do they have those 2 superpowers, they also have 1 more. I'm sure we're all geniuses here. We've seen tons of feathers in our day. Most of the time, filaments of all feathers are kind of velcroed together like this. If you move your hands really quickly, you can hear a little bit of air resistance there. In regards to the owl, they have specialized feathers that have split ends at the end, and that allows the air to pass straight through. So if you go like this again, you hear nothing. And that's exactly how an owl moves silently through the night and sneaks up on its prey. Because of this, they are able to be expert hunters, expert apex predators of rodents, and making sure that we don't get waist up to rodents, because that's what would happen if we got rid of all of our raptors and reptiles. She's also very chatty, so you might have heard her talking a little bit. Einstein here is pretty spectacular. She's lived here since she was a tiny little owlet, which is what a baby owl is called. It's very hard to tell whether an owl is a boy or a girl when it's a baby, so we thought she was a little boy and named her Einstein. About 4 years into having her, she laid an egg, and we realized she was a little lady, but her name stuck. We endearingly call her Einie, and she is about 26 years old. So she is one of our older ladies here, and we are very lucky to be able to share her with you all. You can see those beautiful talons, which are the business end down at the bottom. That is why Ellie is wearing that very thick glove, because even though she's holding on as gently as she possibly can, Einstein still has pretty sharp talons. But she is pretty amazing, and I think she's going to be making her exit here in a moment. But let's give it up for Einstein, our Eurasian eagle owl. She's just so cute. All right, so for our next friend, we are going to be going back a little bit closer to home, to our Southwest Conservation Hub, where San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance and our partners are going to conserve some really cool wildlife, such as the western burrowing owl, the desert tortoise, the boojum tree, and of course our beloved Torrey pine here in San Diego. This little friend is going to be someone that we might know from our own backyards, and knowingly called a trash panda. This is Banjo. He is a California raccoon, and he is pretty special. He's going to be getting a lot of reinforcement here. He is kind of new to the ambassador role, so we do appreciate everyone being a little bit quieter and trying to move around a little bit less, because we are still helping him out with this. But I'll tell you a little bit about the raccoon. I'm sure a lot of us are here from California. Has anyone ever seen a raccoon out in their backyard before? I know I have. They are pretty cute little guys, but they are very interesting. It's a little scary out here. But he knows exactly where to go, so he went right back to his crate. If there's a loud noise, he's like, I'm gonna go take a break, which is exactly what he did, so he did a great job.
It's his choice and control.
But like I said, raccoons are found here a lot in California. You might notice as he does move, you saw him run a little bit, his locomotion is very similar to that of a bear. So raccoons are kind of closely-ish related to bears and weasels, and they do have quite interesting locomotion at that. They are very good at seeing in the kind of weird hours of the day, whether that be dawn or dusk, known as crepuscular. They are also known as mesopredators because they do eat a variety of different things. They are omnivorous and they will eat pretty much anything. Right now, Banjo is getting some of his favorite food, which is cooked meat and grapes. And you got a little bit brained again, but you know, it's loud out here. Like I said, he's learning, so we do appreciate everyone understanding that. But Banjo here is about 5 years old. He is a rescue from Project Wildlife, and he is still learning his new ambassador role, like I said. He was at Project Wildlife because he was illegally taken into someone's home. He wasn't able to learn the behaviors
more time there than here
to live out on his own. So he had to have somewhere to live other than out in his native habitat where he wouldn't have lasted long. He's lived here at Wegeforth Bowl for about the last 2-3 years, and he's been doing great since then. He is getting much more calm and collected, which we are very happy to be able to share with you. And we are very lucky to be able to have him here at Wegeforth Bowl. But raccoons kind of find their way around the world in a very interesting way. They actually kind of utilize their sense of touch much more than the other senses, and this kind of designates them from a lot of other species. They have a ton of extra touch receptors in their fingertips, and that allows them to find their way around the world. So there's lots of videos of raccoons putting their food into water, and a lot of people think that this is actually them being cleanly and trying to wash their food. In actuality, this is when they are trying to figure out if something is safe to eat. So putting something in water allows their sense receptors to touch a little bit more and become more sensitive, and that allows him to figure out what he likes to eat and what he wants to leave be. So that's why they will actually put things in water. You might notice that he's going back in and out, and that's to teach him that everything's going to be okay, and that you guys aren't as scary as you seem to be. Of course, you've got a lot of smells. Even though they do use their sense of touch quite often, they do have an amazing sense of hearing and, of course, smell as well. So lots of different sounds, lots of different smells out here. A lot of our work here isn't necessarily sit, lay down, roll over. It's actually just coming out here and being more and more confident out here. So you guys got to see a little bit of that training today, and we're very excited to be able to show how an ambassador learns to be in his ambassador role. But Banjo does a great job here.
More time there than here.
We're very lucky to be able to share him with you all. So let's give it up for him. He did a great job. All right. So Don't you all worry, we still got plenty of friends to meet, but I am going to be leaving you in the very capable hands of my co-care specialist. This is David, everybody.
Ah,
Oh,
David.
thank you, Raina. Let's hear it for Raina.
Yay!
All right, my name is David. I'm also one of the care specialists right here at Wegeforth Bowl, and we are going to turn back around to our One Health approach to saving species worldwide. This time we are going to focus on a species that everyone is probably familiar with, and that is the canine.
There we go.
Canines have been helping people throughout
that's gonna
time,
be
whether it be
used.
serving in the military, maybe being part of the police force, or helping in our conservation efforts worldwide. They do this by using their superpower, which is their super sniffer. Canines have a sense of smell that is 10 to 100,000 times better than our own. So to help demonstrate this, we are going to let our super sniffer find a hidden scented item out here. All right, let's make some noise for our amazing super sniffer, Elvis. Maybe. Elvis gets very distracted by food, so I can almost guarantee he found a snack. Good job, bud. There he is. All right, he is going to come out here. He's going to use that nose of his to find an item. We change the location every single day.
Straight
That
to
was
it.
Super quick. That might be a new record, minus the snack finding. That was really quick. Good shot, Elvis. We've never beat him, and it looks like we are not going to today. Well, he found his scented koala, and that's a great representation as to some of the canines that we have worldwide. We have canines in the Australian Conservation Hub who were very helpful during the 2019 and 2020 fires that devastated the Australian outback. These canines were able to go out there and sniff out any koalas who might have been displaced because of those fires. So they find koalas, they sit and they wait. Elvis, he shakes the koala, so he probably wouldn't be very good at that job. Now, we also have canines right here in our own backyard, the Southwest Conservation Hub, where they are able to go out and sniff out frogs. Now, these frog dogs, very important during the starting phases of a project for the endangered mountain yellow-legged frog. They were able to go out, sniff out these frogs so that we could count the population, and that is a species right here in our Southwest. And we have canines in our African Savanna Conservation Hub who are able to go out and sniff out poachers so that we're able to protect the many species that we work with down in Africa. We also have canines who are able to sniff out scat. Now these dogs are able to smell different species so that we can protect the many animals that we're working with down in Africa. We can also dissect and look at all of the different hormones that might be in that poop.
Elvis.
Pretty awesome. Now Elvis may not be out in the field, but he does have a very important job right here at Wegeforth Bowl because he is one half of a dynamic duo. Now Elvis is paired with one of the wildlife that we do work with in our African savanna, and that is what conservation hub we're going to go to next. Because down in the African Savanna Conservation Hub, we are working with a plethora of different species like the rhino, giraffe, elephant, cheetah, and many more, like the ancient cycad, which is one of the plants that we work with also. And Elvis is paired with a cheetah. Would we like to meet his partner?
Yes.
All right, please welcome out, representing our African Savanna Conservation Hub. We have a very slow cat, is what I just heard. So she will make her way up here whenever she feels like it. We practice what's called choice and control here, meaning our wildlife always have the choice, they're always in control, and it looks like she is in control right now. That is A-okay. We want this area to be as positive as possible. As you can imagine, it's a little scary over here with lots of eyes on you. So we are oftentimes doing our best reinforcement on this side of the playing field.
Elvis.
Now, as she does come up, there she is, just a little pokey today, that's all. The world's fastest land mammal can also be slow.
They spend more time there than here.
Now, she does represent the world's fastest land mammal. She is a cheetah, and they are built for speed. Now, Ilangha here is 9 years of age, so is Elvis, and they were paired together when they were quite young. And this is because Ilangha was unfortunately the only surviving member of her litter. So in order for her to get the social cues and social interactions that she would get from having litter mates, we decided pairing her with a dog would be a great idea. Now, we're not the first zoo to think of this. We have been doing it for quite some time. And not every single cheetah needs a dog. We do it by case basis, and we look at the
More time
behavior
there
of
than
the
here.
wildlife that we're working with. These two happen to work out perfectly. Now, Elvis over there was in a program for Guide Dogs of America, where we don't like to say that he failed the program, but he failed the program. He's a little bit too food motivated, and that's perfect because serendipity took place, and these two have very similar behaviors, so they worked out perfectly. Now, some of the adaptations that the cheetah has to help get them to top speeds is starting with that itty-bitty head. Now, for a cat her size, it's quite small. It's aerodynamic in nature. They're able to pin those whiskers back, pin those ears back, all helping them get to those top speeds. A cheetah can go from 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, with top out speeds of 70 plus miles per hour. That's pretty awesome. Now, they also have an elastic-like spine. They have enlarged heart, lungs, ribs, as well as nasal cavity, all helping with that air passage while they do their runs. Now, they can't run for very long, maybe about 30 seconds or a quarter of a mile, and then they would have to take a nice break in the hot area of Africa. Now, as she's standing right here, you're able to see that beautiful tail, which is probably my favorite adaptation on the cheetah, because it's very different than any other species out there. It's actually a little flattened on the end, kind of like a hockey stick, so that when they are running full speed, they're able to flip it back and forth and change direction mid-air, kind of like a rudder on a boat. Pretty cool, because a single stride on a male cheetah can be up to 22 feet, so they're literally flying through the Serengeti. Having that adaptation helps them to hopefully keep up with their prey items, which can get up to 55 miles per hour, so it's just a speed race out there. Now, she's also covered in those famous spots, which is actually really good camouflage in the dry grasses of Africa, especially during the daytime. And she has 2 black stripes on her face. Now, those stripes running from her eyes to her mouth are called her malar stripes. We like to call them her Serengeti sunglasses. They help to reflect the sun in the middle of the day, because cheetahs are going to be diurnal hunters or daytime hunters. They're going to be hunting when other big bad predators are not around. So having those built-in sunglasses on her face is definitely a help. Now, as she's right here, you can see that we have a very close relationship with Ilangha, and we are very happy that we have a successful breeding program up at the safari park. She was cub number 159. We have the second most successful breeding program outside of Africa, which is pretty amazing. Now, the two of them are going to be paired together for the rest of their lives. They have very similar lifespans, and it is just cute to see them together all the time. The only time we ever separate them is when we are feeding Ilangha, because believe it or not, Elvis would steal her food. Well, it looks like she's gonna head on out of here. So once again, Ilangha, our beautiful South African cheetah, and of course, our super sniffer, Elvis. Now, the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance is creating a world where all life thrives, and never has that been more important. As first responders in the field, we are there, applying a century of first-hand knowledge of conservation challenges worldwide. We collaborate, we innovate, and we inspire, and hopefully something you saw today inspired you. Thank you so much for being part of our alliance today. Please enjoy the rest of your day here at the world-famous San Diego Zoo.
Thank you.